Welcome back to Northamptonshire Football Podcast, back again. Sam, Rhys, lads, you alright?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, good, mate, good.
Special guest tonight, Rob Usher and Alex Raspin. Lads, how are we getting on?
Not too bad.
Good.
Always alright?
Yeah, good.
So, obviously, chairman and vice chairman of Rushden Diamonds. We'll jump straight in. How did you get involved in the club? How long have you been there?
So back in November, I don't know how much you know about it, but the club was in a bit of turmoil, and the club under the constitution has to have, I think it's a minimum of 6 board members at any given time to run. It dropped below that and went to 5, so an emergency meeting was called of all the members, which was really well attended, to be fair, at Hayden Road, and a picture was painted of the state of the club that basically insinuated that people needed to step forward quickly to effectively try and save it. So at that point in time, I'd been putting off for a while going on the board. I've been asked a few times about it and just kept putting it off because I've got 3 kids and things like that. I just thought it wasn't right for me. But the way that meeting felt, I sort of left it thinking, if I don't do it now, I might not get another chance, because it appears to be that bad. So I've been doing it since then. There was an election process that took place, which I got enough votes to get on the board at that point in time, and kind of been doing it ever since.
Nice. So how were you involved in the club before that then? Obviously, what was your meeting in Agel?
So I was just a kind of a fan, really. I did bits and pieces, so I do a bit of graphic design just in my spare time. I also did the Usher and Alex Raspin podcast with Joseph McCormack, who you had on a couple of weeks ago. But that was pretty much the extent of it, really. Other than that, I was just a fan that went to games and moaned a little bit on social media after most of them. That was it. But in terms of, I've been supporting the club since I was about 6 years old, so
nice.
They've kind of always been my club, if you like.
Nice. Is it a similar story with yourself?
Yeah, pretty similar. So, I mean, like Alex said, he's got 3 kids, and that was kind of what put him off. I've got 6 kids, that's what fucking spurred me on, to be honest.
Desperate to be out the house,
yeah? 100%, yeah, got this something, didn't I?
I think we do a podcast.
So I think just before the EGM, the emergency meeting, I was kind of supporting casually, like, on the board. I feel like Alex said, because we're like a community benefits society, everything's run by a constitution. So that constitution dictates we have to have no less than 6 and no more than 12 directors on the board. So when you drop below like a quorum, you just can't make any decisions. Like the club can't function. Obviously Burgess has been sacked, Richard Maxwell was in there, but we couldn't do anything. We couldn't change anything until we had a core amount of directors. So yeah, like Alex said, it was just kind of this, it's like a call to arms, really. People had to come forward. It was to be fair, it was the first contested election we'd had for directors in quite a few years, wasn't it? So it was well received. People really came forward, and even people who didn't come forward for the board came forward to volunteer at other services and time and things like that. So it was like a bit of a landmark moment for the club, really. It could have gone real south.
Yeah.
But would you suggest it's the next Phoenix version of the club, in a sense? That it might have gone in the wrong direction and now you're going forward in the right way, like you were before, when things didn't go quite so well as the original club, and now you took this club forward?
Maybe, like, it was a necessary reset, for sure. And I think until that first emergency meeting was called, nobody really realised.
Okay.
So
was that the naivety of people on the board, or was that the naivety of the club itself, or what was the reason behind that, do you reckon?
I think there was a bit of a kind of a malaise around the club at the time.
Complacency around the fan base.
It was complaint. That's exactly kind of the word that I was looking for, really, in that sense that the club has kind of just been running, and when something's just kind of going all right and you're on the periphery or whatever, you're just leaving the people to it. I think perhaps the people on the board should have been, at that point in time, which wasn't me, should have been a bit stronger in saying, actually, we need some help, rather than just casually saying, oh, you fancy coming on the board. What they should have been saying at that point in time is, like, we really seriously need people on the board, because and there were some people on there that have been on there kind of over 10 years, and I can't imagine myself doing this in 10 years necessarily. I think people had just run out of puff, and you can't blame them for that, but that was the situation that the club was in, but the fan base didn't really know. And then it was at that meeting, really, where it was, I don't think that the true extent of the severity of the situation that we were about to inherit was laid bare, or perhaps we wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
but they did enough on the night to leave us thinking that people need to step up now.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think there was about 9 people that actually went for the election at
Yeah,
that
it was
point.
a
Whereas
contested
previously
election.
you were just getting there were uncontested, people were just getting straight back on.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, just to add to that, you know, Andy Peaks did so well at the club. He punched well above his weight for so long that it did perhaps paper over the cracks of some of the other things that maybe weren't quite right. And yeah, that's not blame on individuals, but I think Alex knows it when he says that people are just burnt out, you know, and
It happens at this level of football,
we
though,
were
doesn't
winning.
it?
We were winning. Like, I didn't care. I just didn't bank and drunk Guinness and smoked and sung, you know. I didn't care because we were winning and it was good. But yeah, when that emergency meeting was called, it was pretty dire times. But fortunately,
Was there a fear in the meetings that, you know, that people weren't going to actually come forward, and
yeah.
or was it? Did you know? Like, do you think that you would have
Yeah,
got
I
the
think
support?
so. I think so. Like from my perspective, I was kind of working with the board at that stage as well, and I think, I mean, there was 5 of us and me, but I wasn't a director. It was definitely a feeling that if people don't come forward now, we're done. Really.
Do you think it was a case of people for so long have just thought that it was somebody else's responsibility, and that's the way that it might have happened in that meeting? That was kind of like the
100%,
undertone there.
Yeah, look, and I think, you know, I have to admit, I was guilty of that. I was guilty of that. I just turned up on a Saturday afternoon, pay me money and watch football. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think everybody just took it for granted, really.
Yeah.
I think for a long time, I think we kind of all forgot what it meant to be a fan-owned club. You know?
Was it close to the previous situation before with the original Diamonds? Had it got that far this time, or?
I would say no, because that wasn't even close to being salvageable.
Yeah.
And also we weren't in control of it.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was bloody close to being salvageable.
We got a bit
but,
airy, didn't it?
yeah, but well, as we stand here today, it has been salvaged, but also we were in control of our own destiny, if you like.
Yeah.
And it's not just the people that stepped up on the board, it's the people all around the club, because it's not the fact that we're still here today with the club is not just on the 10 or 11 or how many it is on the board. So many volunteers that had kind of lapsed or had walked away because they'd been upset with X, Y or Z or whatever, felt like they hadn't been treated properly, have all come back. And we got so many people surrounding us now. There's got to be 30, 40 people that we can just lean on with a text message to step up and help. So we didn't have that last time. We were getting third-party information from somebody who's running the club, perhaps not with the club's best interest at heart, to put it mildly, engineering a situation that they probably want, and there's nothing that we can do about that. Whereas it was completely different this time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think the other thing, the volunteers who'd walked away previously and come back is like, just fills your heart a little bit, you know what I mean? It is quality.
It just shows that you guys are doing the right thing to get them back. You must be showing the opposite of complacency to them in order to get them back in, because there must be something that draws them back in from their previous experiences of having their fingers burned.
Yeah. Like, I think, you know, previous people, all we can put it down to is they did just burn out, you know. Whereas we've come in reinvigorated, you know, brought some life into it.
Is it an age thing as well?
Throw out some apologies as well.
But the previous people are a little bit older than yourselves?
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? And I think...
Because that's what I found personally at clubs, like chairman committees at like step 6, step 7, obviously not viable to you guys at the minute, but those levels are generally run by 65 and above that have been there for neon years.
So that is kind of the same as what we've kind of experienced week in, week out. So we obviously have to have the directors, and we have to go in the boardrooms at the various games. And I mean, we're mid-30s, both of us, so we're by we're by a distance the youngest people. But I quite like that at the moment, and I think it gives our club something a little bit different to what it might be.
Well, and I think what we have noticed, and we spoke about this the other day, won't we, that what we've noticed is a younger demographic of volunteer coming forward now, which is so important. So important in the future of the club. You know?
I think they can relate to us as well. Like you say, someone, no offence, but stood on the terrace, singing songs, drinking Guinness and having a fag kind of thing. And a lot of the people that perhaps did it before did it from the start. So they were never able to be that kind of fan. They had to be this ultra professional person when they turned up on a match day, whereas Rob and I have had 10, 11, 12 years or whatever of being that fan that shared the frustrations of everybody else, swore at people, abused refs, and things like that.
I still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably do that as well. Would you also?
Yeah, I think people can relate to us as kind of fans and not just board members. They might probably still see us as fans first and not those people. And obviously, at a club like Diamonds, everybody kind of knows everyone when there's sort of 300 people.
I hope so. I hope that never changes. Like, I'd never want to be seen as a director more than a fan.
No.
So, you know, fan first. Isn't it?
Do you think your demographics helped by other clubs that are non-league that are quite famous for being a lower demographic? Clubs like #United and Dorking Wanderers, those type of clubs where the owners are a bit younger and a bit more fan base?
I hadn't really thought about that, to be honest.
Because obviously they've got a big draw on socials, haven't they?
Yeah,
so those kind of clubs do push that demographic a bit more.
We're really trying to change what we're doing on social big time. And you probably might have seen that with the Legends game and things, but I'd like to think that we're totally invigorated it and there's more that we can do. Perhaps that is lending itself to a kind of younger demographic, but I hadn't necessarily thought about
I haven't really considered. I mean, Alex is really good at social media. I'm not. You know. But it's definitely a close season last year. It's a close season this year. It is chalk and cheese now. Do you know what I mean? It is. We're kind of doing something right. Like, I see the numbers pop up of views or whatever, and you know they're pretty big numbers, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? A few digits in them. So yeah, I think the social media piece has been strong, and I think just being present on match day, speaking to people, just being yourself as well.
Yeah.
You know, I don't tailor the way I speak to anybody. You know, whether that's the chairman of Tamworth or you know the bloke I stand next to and abuse refs with. You know what I mean? You just be yourself and just be authentic and just be a fan, and hopefully that comes through. And
I think, like you say, that's refreshing for other fans, like you said a minute ago, though, isn't it? To see, you know, the person who's practically running your club is stood next to you on the terrace, giving stick to the ref again. Do you know what I mean? It's refreshing to see, and it's not refreshing to see a ref getting abused, but to have that same passion as for, you know, I want my team to win, rather than like you say, other directors who sit in their office having their prawn sandwiches and all that.
But don't even get it wrong. Alex loves a prawn
I'll tear
sandwich.
we had one instance this evening at Ilkeston away. You're supposed to tell the team how many people to expect, which we did, and then for some reason on the day, like none of you went in, even you didn't go in for some reason.
I was
so they'd laid
Diamonds at half time.
They'd laid on this massive
Flag,
screen,
didn't
it was massive. About 3 of us went in. What you got to do?
Doggy bags, that's what you got to do.
All you can do is, I did my absolute best to see it off, and they still have it. It's become a bit of a running joke.
But yeah, no, you are right. Yeah, I think it's a different brand of like running a club, but that's what the fan-owned model should be, right?
But there's a lot of those now, isn't there? The fan-owned models,
Yeah.
and I think they really work. And it's obviously shown that the average attendance of those clubs is, I'm sure I can back up with stats, is a little bit higher than the other clubs in those leagues because the fans want it a little bit more than just your average director that's, as you rightly said, sitting in their porcelain castle.
Yeah, I think we've always been quite blessed with a good fan base. I mean, it's dropped year on year and it gates, but you know, for the level we're at, we've always had a pretty good fan base. Yeah, it showed more when we sort of step 5 for sure.
Have you got a similar fan base to is it the same people that was the original Diamonds team if they come over? Or is it
I think I'd say like the majority are fans of the old club.
Yeah.
Who've come over. You know, there's some who weren't, who've just come and got on board and got involved. That's one of the biggest pieces of work we've got to do is get, you know, the kids that are 6, 7, 8 years old now, get them in and get them loving the club like I did when I was 7, 8 years old. That's what really cements the future, innit? Because without a fan base, you ain't got a club. So in 20, 30 years time, and look, we need to stay a fan-owned club. There's a 7-year-old kid out there one day that'll be the chairman one day, you know. So we have to start building that allegiance to the club and that loyalty in the local community. That's what's so important.
Nice. Obviously, so looking at the club now, then obviously Chris Nunn coming in.
Yeah.
Was you two oversee him coming in? Or was
Yeah, it was the craziest thing. Like, so we had the second emergency meeting where you announced the votes of the election, and we all assumed post kind of officially. Then we all sat down around the table and sacked Richard Maxwell about 5 minutes later.
I can't go into much about this. The first board meeting, which was immediately after.
Hang on, draw it back a second before. How did he get in? Explain to me. Because
Maxwell.
wasn't he a chairman or wasn't he on the board, and then
Richard
he
Maxwell.
resigned and then he was manager within 10 minutes?
So he was. I wasn't obviously in the board at that point in time. I don't even know whether you. You weren't part of that decision making process, were you? No. It's important. It's important.
Get that on record.
I distance Rob from that. Obviously, it didn't go too well in the end, but yeah, I think it was a fundamentally flawed recruitment process. Do you know what? I've spoken to Richard Maxwell quite a few times, and I don't have anything bad to say about the bloke. And what's happened to our academy since he's left has been to its detriment. But that decision that was taken by whoever took it to put him in that position set us back as a club. I would say a long way, but I think quite quickly thereafter we were afforded the chance to get onto the board and try and change that, which we did.
It was a necessary evil, for sure.
But it was basically the first thing that we had to do. He couldn't remain there any longer. We had people not going to the games because he was there, and it was just toxic at the games, wasn't it? Like, there was hardly any support for the team. He did win one game against Nuneaton, where
He won 2, he beat Kings Langley as well.
yes, he did, yeah, and those games were kind of okay, but it was everything around that. And then when he got to the end of his kind of tenure, it was so toxic you wouldn't believe it. The community club wouldn't allow their kids to go to the games because of the atmosphere in the ground, and you just can't allow that to continue. But there's things in this first board meeting that I can't talk about, but it was just ridiculous. So we got onto the board about half an hour before. Everybody left that was in there to kind of see us sworn in, if you like, and then we just immediately sat down in Hayden Road for our first board meeting. And within about 5 minutes, my jaw was like on the table because the things that I can't talk about. But it was just
There's carnage, wasn't
it was absolutely carnage.
We didn't even know it. Like, none of us knew each other.
Yeah.
So it was like you recognise faces and you see them at the games, and that's fine. But now we're all sat around the table. Right now we're going to run the club, and so this one we had no chairman. Nobody was in position. Stacey Hawkins, credit where it's due, kept the club running at that stage. She still is the only original board member there. And we decided, almost unanimously, we need to part ways with Richard Maxwell.
Yeah.
We had no idea.
Whereabouts is he now?
He's just become chairman of Huntingdon Town.
Oh.
Yes, that's nice, isn't it? Pre-season Richard? No, maybe not. Probably an example of how little at the time we knew what we were doing. We didn't have a replacement. We didn't, we rung Matty Vernon. Well, Stacey texted him actually. So we take first team within 5 minutes. Matty Vernon texts back, said, "Yeah, whatever the club needs, I'm there. I'll do it."
But if he'd have said no as well, and I told Matty Vernon this on the last game of the season, if he'd have said no, I don't know what we would have done,
we'd have
because we'd have been going down the academy and ringing all the coaches. That's what we would have been doing.
Well, I got a chance then.
But that would have been our only option, because
Only free from the bottom, Rhys, only free from the bottom.
having just come into the job as literally fans, we don't have that book of contacts that we can just pick up the phone and ring someone and say, "Do you want to come and manage the team for a few games until we appoint someone?"
074.
I won't give that out, mate. There's a lot of people that don't like you.
Yeah, but they've all got my number already, so it's fine.
So I had no idea about Matty or Geordie. I'd never heard of them at the time.
I heard of Matty Vernon. I didn't know him. Lovely bloke, to be fair. Really lovely guy. Loves the club.
But I mean, without them, again, they're another kind of cog in that wheel
we
last
are
season. But without them,
huge
I don't
debt,
know, we'd been a mess.
We own a huge debt. But in terms of your actual question, so we quickly had to start interviewing managers, put out the vacancy. We received some CVs, some better than others.
Let's be talking to you, Rhys.
I went there at the time.
So we drew up a short list. To be fair, credit was due. Alex put forward a suggestion on how we could best do this, and we kind of built on that around. We created a matrix, a set of questions where each board member would record their scores on that. We decided to do them on Zoom, record them, so people who weren't available could watch them back at a later date and record their scores.
Sorry to cut you off, but this was one of the problems with the Richard Maxwell appointment is that they allowed about 3 or 4 board members to hold the interviews and then went back to the rest and told them to make a decision, but Richard Maxwell was given the opportunity to be interviewed by them all.
Right.
The rest of them were only interviewed by 4 people. So knowing that information, it was absolutely paramount that the 10 or however many it was on the time all got the opportunity to sit in these interviews if they wanted to, score them and be involved in the process.
Yeah. And we wanted to be transparent as well. You know, we wanted to, at the end of it, be able to say, this is what we did, this is how we arrived at that decision, you know, this is the end result. But yeah, I didn't really think about it at the time, but reflecting that recently, like, as I say, we didn't, I speak to Alex nearly every day now, and in October I didn't even know, like, you know, but that's what, we were thrown together to run this football club, and within like 2 weeks we're interviewing managers. We're still getting to know each other, do you know what I mean? We've got to come to a collective decision.
And the club's burning, by the way.
Yeah, and literally the club is on fire behind us. It's the only time I've been on fire all year, to be fair. But it was crazy. But yeah, everybody who wanted to be involved in that recruitment process, who was a director of the club, had the opportunity to do so. Not everybody took it, but everybody who wanted to could be. And I think it was a good way of doing it. I'm hoping we don't have to do it again too soon. If we did, I think it's something that I probably want us to do again. I think it's a solid way of doing it.
Yeah. But just for anyone that's clueless, like myself, obviously it's a fan-run club. Mm-hmm. Do they get much say within? How does that work with the fans? Do they get much?
They get to vote on the shirt.
I see that, but obviously...
Yeah. So in terms of the management process, obviously they're, in theory, electing us to make certain decisions like that on their behalf.
Right,
and then they just sort of have to put up with that, or with previous appointments, not put up with it. The proof is ultimately in the pudding there, but they don't have a say on decisions like that.
Did they have a say on Andy Burgess?
No.
Did anyone have a say on Andy
I'll be honest with you, we might come on to this again a bit later. When he was appointed, I was not disappointed with it.
Yeah, I bought it.
Because
you saw club legend and a free bit of publicity in the non-league paper.
Well, right, so we had Andy Peets, and I'm not going to say a bad word about the bloke, but he was the manager of the club for 8 years, and I was of the mind at that point in time, and I think it's been proven with what he's done at Tamworth, that he probably needed a change. I think the club needed a different voice there. I think they got the wrong one. But we just needed something different, a different way of playing, a different voice on the interviews at the end of the game, and seeing some different players, because we had a bit of a revolving door with players coming and going, didn't we? So when he came in, it was something completely different, and he's got all these contacts with X, Y and Z, and he works at Man City, and you know, he's Pep Guardiola and all this, and I'm like, okay, you think that these loan players are going to be coming from your Lutons, your Oxfords and stuff like that, decent players, and they're going to really bolster us. Obviously it didn't happen like that, but we bought into it at the time, and I think most of the fan base did.
I did.
Now you can sit back and say, oh, it was heart over head or whatever, but I think most people backed it at the time.
Yeah. No, so obviously Chris there now then anyway, getting back onto Chris, he steadied the ship.
Yeah.
Did he bring many in from Kempston when he came in? Or?
No one. He kind of pledged. I know that he has a really good relationship with the chairman now. He's a really good fighter, to be fair. And yeah, he made a pledge that he wouldn't go and pillage the squad, and he's stuck to it. We had one. We did have one guy come over, didn't we? Actually, it was Tally. He turned up for what? So he was leaving Kempston because he had a pro offer in Sweden, and then that fell through. So he came to us, played one game, and then that reignited and he went back. So he went to Sweden, yeah.
That was it though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he didn't take anyone from Kempston. To be fair, there's something wrong with him. I don't know why he took the job. I really don't like it. I mean, we're going to cut the budget by 30%. But you know, we still need to play really well. Keep the fans on board, and he's absolutely smashed it, to be fair. He's a top bloke. He's a proper top bloke.
Is he, obviously, I mean, relegation happened, I mean, that doesn't light his door, does it? Would you say there was...
No, absolutely
100% not.
I mean, I would say you could lay it on our door, because we gave him a set of circumstances that he couldn't possibly have kept the club up on in all seriousness, but we did that because we had to, because of the situation the club was in. I would say the reason that we were at the bottom of the league was to do with the recruitment that had happened earlier on in the season last summer, which was appalling. That's what left us in the mess. But yeah, everything else that kind of happened from a financial point of view for the club would have happened if only Pete was still in charge, because it was issues with the commercial activity around the club and the loss of sponsors. So none of these issues were Chris Nunn's fault in any way, shape or form. And in fact, he was given a set of circumstances which were ridiculous. And when I offered him the job, I laid all of these out so that he knew full well what he was walking into. And he was like, "Where do I sign?" I like Ron. Well, we speak to him kind of every day, and I can't speak highly enough of the guy. Not just
loads of affections,
not just as a manager, but I said to him a few times he could sell like ice to an Eskimo. Some of the things that he says, but he says all the right things in public as well, which we've never ever briefed him on and said we want you to say X, Y, and Z.
No,
but
he's an incredible ambassador. 100%. 100%.
He's bought into the club so much, and he's turned down offers this summer from clubs who could offer him more money than we ever could. And again, he's done that because he wants to be at AFC Rushden Diamonds, and I can't say fairer than that.
No. Did he, when he first came in, did he sort of have any demands? Did he change much?
He said we had to buy a fur coat. And a toupee. That's a wig he wears. No, he didn't at all, did he? Like, do you know what? In the interview process, would have been 5 or 6 matches? 5?
Yeah, 5.
It was 5. He was the only one who never asked about the budget.
Yeah.
Didn't ask about the budget once. He just, and it is. You come in and you just wanted to get stuck in, you wanted to get started. He was really hamstrung with some of the commitments we had on loans and contracts and things like that, so we've cut the budget, but there was no wiggle room in it because it was all taken up by obligations. So he had a real tough start. We managed to work some of them things out, some of the loans expired, we got some of the contracts terminated and stuff, on mutual agreement. And then he just started going to work on it, and I remember he came in like just before Christmas, wasn't it? And then we said you could probably wait till like the end of January to get this budget where we needed to be, and he just wouldn't stop, would he?
So I sort of thought, when you drop by 30%, I'm thinking of all these players that we've got on just stupid money. I'm thinking, just get them out the door and that will resolve that. We'll just let the season play out. But actually, it didn't quite work like that because of some of the commitments that we had to pay these people. And in the end, it dictated that he had to basically speak to every squad member and do something with them. It wasn't just like 3 people that he got out the door. He had to speak to everybody and make a decision whether he just kept them if they weren't under contract, even if they were half decent. Or cut their money or things like that.
We had a guy on a deal for, he was a midfielder on a clean sheet bonus, which is weird.
No, it wasn't a clean sheet bonus.
No, this is the thing, this is the kicker. That weren't weird enough. A midfielder on a clean sheet bonus that came into play if we conceded 1 or less goals.
But that's not a clean sheet.
Well, no, it was a 1 goal bonus.
Yeah, it's a 1 goal bonus. You got a bonus if we only conceded 1.
I mean, someone who played
that guy's agent, because that is one hell of a deal.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? And but he never faltered, did he? Like when we uncovered these things, and we're like, "Oh, Chris, by the way," like he's just like, "Oh, okay, I'll work that out." He was just relentless. And to be fair, he got the budget to the point where we needed, and he was just like, "No, I think I'll save another 20 quid here." I was just like, "No, Chris, you probably don't need to." He's like, "No, I can, I'll do it." He's like, "I don't buying goals, you know, isn't it?"
We went down.
In the end, he got the budget way below the ridiculously low budget that we set him, and then we were winning football matches as well. Yeah. I remember when we played Stourbridge a few games before the end of the season. Absolutely played them off the park, beat them 2-0 at their place. And after the game, their managers were having a chat with Chris, and their budget was about 6 or 7 times what ours was in terms of what we fielded on the pitch that day. And their manager said to Chris, "What are your lowest paid players? What are they on?" And Chris was like, "We've got 3 or 4 on about 30 quid." And these guys had like smoke coming out their ears because we just passed them off, like played them off the park.
We were good that day, weren't we?
Really absolutely superb, yeah. But I mean, the loan deals really helped us because we inherited loans on decent money. I mean, towards the end of the season, they would have been our highest paid players if they were still there, and we were replacing them with lads that were near enough playing for nothing, and they were excellent. Some of them were absolutely superb and will go on to have kind of decent careers.
Roddy McGlinchey. Yeah, honestly, you'll remember that name. Roddy McGlinchey, come from Peterborough. Superb. Absolutely. 18, I think. Yeah. Come down on a work experience. Absolutely super. Like the boy would be. Yeah.
And Joel Lanker as well from MK Dons. He was absolutely
Charlie Waller as well.
Yeah.
Centre back. Superb. So good. these boys just coming out work experience and buying into the environment, buying into the club. You know, we had by a country mile the smallest budget in that league. By a country mile, we went 9 out of the last 10 games unbeaten.
Yeah, man.
Ridiculous. Like no right to be doing that. No right to
the class into the season. Tell us about another player coming in, Harriman. Where did that come from?
I don't know, you tell me.
So we've got Ryan Hughes. He's been with us. He must be our longest serving player now. I mean, we've only got about 2 left that have been there every year. But he was with Cobblers before he came to us. So be going back kind of three or 4 years now. Obviously, still kept in touch with Harriman, who lives in Wellingborough. And I think he just got cold feet, didn't he? He basically dipped out of the game got released by the Cobblers at the back end of the season before last, and just got cold feet, not playing, and said.
Did he not play anyway?
Didn't have a game. So he went to Bedford for pre-season, but didn't.
He started the season with Bedford.
Did he? Yeah. But he didn't really. He
What, Town or Rail?
Town. Played 1 or 2 games for them, and then spoke to Hughesy and said, "Do you think they'd be interested in me?" And Chris, when he heard that, he's like, "Yeah." He didn't really know much about. I think he'd be open about this. Didn't know much about Michael Harriman at the point in time. But you just got to look at the CV. And when you look, all of our lads were young, really young lads at that point in time. We'd been crying out for someone like that all season. But as soon as he came into the team, it was like he just gave everybody a lift, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
we never replaced that experience. Well, we had Bullet and Collard last season. They said about we've just got to 1 step 2. Just leaders. We didn't have any of that. And that's not to say, there's some really good lads in there. There's some really good lads, but lack of experience, didn't we? Yeah. I mean, Michael Harriman, that's
massive.
That's a wind up. I probably didn't really believe it until I see him actually on a match day with a shirt on.
But it was when he came into the starting lineup that things started changing. It was like he gave everybody a round, because he was playing centre back in the middle. He's only about 5'8", 5'9" probably, and he was playing in the middle of a back 3. He just could read the game. He was just a step ahead of absolutely everybody else. He's right back normally, but he was just playing with centre back because we needed someone there. And he was almost running the game from centre back, and it was like he was giving everybody else an extra yard. And the fact that we've been able to keep him next season, despite the fact we've gone down, is absolutely massive.
Not
just for the club, but in terms of recruitment and bringing players in as well. If you're going to be playing alongside somebody who's played 300-400 Football League games for QPR, Luton, Cobblers, Wickham, but he's only 30, so he's not even like 35 or 36 or whatever like you would think. So to be able to come in and play alongside someone like that and have them coaching now, we can offer kind of that level of coaching and experience within the playing team that perhaps. Where we're never going to be able to compete with budget with the likes of, let's say, Corby or Harbour or whatever, we can offer that.
That's what I was going to say then about his coaching role. Is that sort of Chris is doing? Keeping him in the club and sort of moving him into that coaching role?
Yeah, Chris spoke to him, didn't he? And I mean, not he come in, and I guess he was to a kind of degree doing that through 90 minutes anyway. He was sort of coaching the lads through the game. And Chris just spoke to us about it, said that's what he wants to do, and do it. Obviously do that. But it's, you've got to say it is testament to Chris, it's testament to what he's building and the environment, that he's building around the club. But something that Michael Harriman will have offers a step 3 without a doubt. But he wants to stay with us, so it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Is obviously relegation, the budget you mentioned there, is that going to come down again, or you're sort of keeping that where it is?
Yeah, we're in minus now. We're charging them to play.
We've done so well last year.
It's about what it is, what it was at the end of the season, which Chris was working well below. So I'm not expecting us to necessarily go ripping trees up, to be honest, next season, and we haven't put that sort of pressure on Chris. But given what he achieved at the back end of last season, I think he's shown that he can work with that. And we'll see where that takes us next season. But I've got every confidence in him, his ability to run the club on that budget.
It just gives you value on it. Just gives you value. And for us, we set the budget. We make sure we don't want to fall into the traps that we inherited. Make sure it's sustainable, it's conservative, it's sensible. And full faith that Chris will work with it. I think he will.
Nice. So obviously you say about not ripping trees up, but what is the aim for next year, or next season?
Probably Europe.
Joe, what? We haven't actually sat down with you.
Got more of a chance than Man United.
More chance than Leeds.
We haven't actually sat down.
We're not going
In a
there.
few years.
Not going there, Joy. What a low blow. How pathetic. Not even going there.
Yeah, no, we as a board, you know, we've got a board meeting this week and we'll discuss it, and then probably board meeting Alex sit with Chris and talk about what we want to achieve. But you know, for me personally, not all the achievements that we can make this season happen on a Saturday afternoon. There's so much around the club that we can do, you know, but Chris is a great ambassador for it, and that's the flagship product of our club. You know, you come down a league, you don't want to be bottom of that one, do you? You know, that's definitely not where we want to be. You know, personally, I think we'd like to be in and around it when we would like to be top half playoffs, you know, but we'll see. It depends on who we're able to recruit, you know. We've got the right man for that recruitment in Chris, you know, he's got good contacts. Yeah, I guess we'll see more after 10 games, do you know what I mean? Win the first 10, you know, give Chris a contract, lose the first 10, we'll give him the boot, won't we? You know?
So, a Diamond super fan that I know expects you to go straight back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his name is Jordan Ogden. He's a deaf lad with the ginger hair.
He's top lad.
He's saying straight back up. So just 10-year fan expectation there, gents. Yeah.
Jordan's top lad, to be fair. Really, really good.
Very good goalkeeper as well.
Is he?
Yeah. But he'll never tell you that. He'll keep it really quiet. Really good goalkeeper.
I didn't know that. Jordan's.
Have a chat with him about his footballing career.
I remember him in Park when he was well young, wasn't he?
Yeah, I do. He's been a volunteer for us for
years and years.
Yeah.
His family come, don't they? Yeah, he's super. Top lad. Top lad.
We'll let Chris manage those expectations.
Yeah, Chris can have a word with him. But privately. Yeah, no, I don't get it wrong. As I say, fan first. You know, of course I want us to romp the league. I want us to get 100 points. Do you know what I mean? Of course I do. Like, I want us to win every week. But you've got to be realistic, ain't you? You know, there was times between November and today that we didn't even think we'd be on a pitch next year. So, just to go out there.
Yeah. Obviously finished in great form. How much are you looking forward to next season? I mean, can't wait.
I wanted to just kick off now, to be honest. Particularly the league that we've been put in. So I kept thinking, don't want to be in the Northern League, don't want to be in the Northern League. I kept looking at the projections. And then when the league actually came out, and you've got sort of 7 or 8 teams that have just come up for step 5 that we've never played before. And I was just excited by that league more than I was kind of the Southern when I was looking at it.
Yeah, I think I am now, because I was probably more so than you when I we don't want the Northern,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. There's some great games in there.
I think our sponsor, Mitch Austin's looking forward to a game with you boys.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't played.
Depends which side of the fence you're sitting on.
So we haven't played Harbour since UCL days, when they were a completely different club at that point in time. Corby, we haven't played in a league game, to my knowledge, ever. And even with the old club, unless it happened in the real early days.
We probably would have done early RDFC.
I can only remember things like Hillier Cup games against them.
Yeah.
But
Nice ground for that level though.
Well, do you know what? When we didn't have a team for a season, I went and watched loads of Corby games, and I've always sort of had I work in Corby, I've always had a little bit of an affinity with the club. So there's no kind of.
How many clubs you ain't got?
I'm really looking forward to that game, but I don't think it won't never be the rivalry that we've got with Kettering.
But I don't know, you keep talking like that on the podcast, it probably will be.
But I'm really looking forward to that game, really looking forward to going there, and I'm sure both games will have over 1,000 people at it. It'll be brilliant for both of them.
Yeah, so as a fan, massive. As, you know, as directors of the club as well, and I'm sure Corby will tell you the same, you know, being in that league together, that we're going to get, one of us is going to get Boxing Day at home and the other one's going to get Easter. Do you know what I mean? Look, I hope we get Easter, right? We go into the end of the season, the weather's nice, and we're both going for the title playoffs, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's massive, isn't it?
And I'm sure those type of games we'll definitely be getting to a couple of them, Jordan and Rhys, won't we, to be fair?
Yeah, well, yeah, I hope we do. Like, that's what we're about, bringing the local community in, and you know, that's what's huge. But yeah, it'd be a good league. You know, rugby as well, that's going to be nice. And there's some good teams in that league as well, isn't there?
Looking at the location of all the teams in there, I think someone said I think it's half an hour drive is like the max, basically. Everything's close.
2,112 miles round trip.
Is
all
it?
season, yeah.
Done all grounds already.
That's hardly anything, really, is it?
Yeah. No, not really. No.
No, it looks decent, and I'll say they're not derbies, but they're teams close to you, and it should. Do you know what I mean? It should be a good
Be
season.
competitive. Be competitive. I mean, you wouldn't want to pick a winner right now, would you?
Yeah, and we've had a few years as well of just playing the same teams again and again, particularly because the COVID seasons, like teams weren't getting promoted, or you're just playing the same teams again and again and again. It's nice to have those.
Yeah, and look, we ain't got to go to Leiston or Needham Market anything like the arse end of East Anglia. Like it's tough. Well, always on a Tuesday night as well.
Yeah.
Always on a Tuesday night.
God, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, tough places to go. But yeah, no, I'm buzzing. Like I think we're all the same, aren't we? You know. Close season sucks.
Yeah,
on close season.
We were just saying that as well, Rhys, weren't we? We're desperate for our season to start
all
now.
football all the time.
Desperate.
It's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, I can't wait. And a cup run, that'd be nice.
A cup run.
A cup run's always nice, isn't it? We've not had a cup run in years, have we?
It's our first few years as a club. We had some brilliant cup runs.
Yeah.
Got to fourth.
Did Matty Gearing score a few in them as well?
Yeah, he did.
Matty Gearing,
He
legend.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just left Rawns and he's at Rawns at the minute, yeah.
He was class for us.
Tell you where he is on the 30th of July.
We'll get to that at the end, shall we? Well, we definitely fit the Legends bill because between me, you, and the podcast, his legs are gone now.
You should see some of the others turning out, mate.
So looking at Diamonds then, obviously away from the first team, the U section, you got obviously your lads there and the 19s, is it the 23s are at the Hawthorns there with a second year running, that's a big achievement, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. So yeah, I think we're incredibly blessed really with what we have under the first team. So we have the pathways 23s and the 19s this year, which players 21s but they're 19s. The 23s or the 21, but players 23s. Simple stuff. But what we also have is we have the scholarship thing with Molten College. So it was the Molten Scholars that were at Hawthorns the other night.
Is that Pharrell Anderson?
Yeah, Pharrell Anderson, yeah.
What a player.
Yeah,
He's unbelievable.
What a player. I went to college with him, what a player.
So we, you're not the same age as Pharrell Anderson.
No, we both did the same course. Literally this year. We're on the same course.
He was, he's Cook now, isn't he?
Dual reg, I think it was.
Yeah, not anymore. His diamonds thrown through. Yeah, so he signed dual reg last year, towards the end of the season, and he started, didn't he? Kings Langley in the last game of the season. He just had him on toast. Like he's electric, isn't he?
He got man of the match, didn't he? It was his first start, and just the
Will
last
he
game
be
of the season. Just,
first team next year then, will he?
100%.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
100%. But yeah, the scholarship is massive. Like you guys will all know Molten College, the facilities they got up there is. Yeah, I was blown away when I first went up there. So yeah, so like massive testament to what they do up there to get to that final 2 years in a row. Yeah.
Wasn't it against Stephen Gerrard Academy last year?
Yeah, the Stephen Gerrard Academy and Chesterfield this year. So unfortunately we lost both of them, but get to the national final 2 years in a row.
Get there even, mad, isn't it?
It shows what they're doing.
So we really were quite reliant on that scholarship program towards the back end of the season. We had Louis Pinto, Lite, who was in the squad for most of the season. He was really good. Mitch White as well. He did half the season with us. Was really good. Goffey, who was at Cookno, came in and had a few games for us. I think he'll be in and around it again next year. And then Pharrell obviously came in at the back end, but because of what we had to do to the budget, we had to be bringing these lads in on very little, and they all without kind of. Well, they all stepped up to the plate basically.
They didn't look out of place.
None of them looked out of place at all.
And then on the other side, within the Rushden Diamonds pathway as well, we've seen Fraser Gordon come in this year, who's been really, really good. Bit of a breakthrough season for him. Really.
He got runner up in the Player of the Year. He'd come through the academy, broke in through Maxwell. To be fair, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's been brilliant.
In the past, we've seen Will Jones, Paddy Casey come through that way as well.
Will
Glennon come through the pathway. Obviously took a different route round, played some football at Bugbrook and then come back in. I mean, Will Glennon coming has been super
class in many different roads.
Oh man, he's sensational, isn't he? So and I think that has to be our ethos. That has to be what we do. We have to be promoting young, local hungry talent who want to come and play on, the best platform we can give them. Right now, that's step 4.
It has the knock-on effect lower down because the lads at the under-9s look up to the younger boys because they see the fact that they're not too far away age-wise compared to them, and they're looking at that, seeing a player that they might not know but see as a first-team player is really good for them.
100%. Yeah, I spoke about it earlier, and it's all about at a young age building that allegiance, that loyalty to the badge. I think we have the academy, starting at pre-academy age. We also have a massive community club that wear the badge as well. And yeah, it's all about how much can we get our badge out there in the community, and how much can we be present, and how much can we get people to love the club like we love the club, and then how do we get that to bleed into match days, and that's something I think we've done really, really well this year. So Alex said earlier, at the point we assumed post, the chairman of the community club would not allow his community teams to come to matches. It was that toxic. Now we have every Saturday 3 o'clock home game. We have them out there as mascots, and again, massive credit to Chris. He's just run with it, and he meets all the parents, he meets all the kids, he sends all the players out to warm up. He takes all the parents and the kids into the change room, shows them some set plays and stuff. Then he goes out, does a warm up with the kids on the pitch. It's just It's just bringing them people in, and what we're starting to see, or what we started to see towards the end of last season is, they all come when it's their mascot day, of course they do. And they come out as mascots with the players and stuff. But now what we're seeing is they're coming back on other games, we just got to keep building on that. And the academy as well, we want to see them players joining at 7 years old in the pre-academy and coming all the way through. They hit 16, they either stay in the academy or they go to Malton, but they keep wearing that badge. If you start at 7 and you end up at 19, and you've worn that badge the whole time, there's not a chance in hell that you haven't fallen in love with it a little bit, and that's what safeguards the future of Rushden Diamonds. So, the knock-on as well is that, local players have local families, and then the families come as well, and, you kind of create, to an extent, what I loved about the old Rushden Diamonds when I was a kid. It was it had a community feel to it, and it was a nice place to be, So, yeah, that's the Diamonds. On the way back.
Do you get, obviously, talk about players like Pharrell Anderson and these scholars, do you get to see them much? Do you go and watch them play much? Or?
I'll be honest, not as much as, I haven't done as much as I should.
No.
Haven't done so far as much as I will do. We hosted the Academy Day a couple of weeks ago at Haydon Road. I was blown away by it, to be fair. Honestly, that's the first time I got to see successive age groups of the Academy. And it works. It works, man. They play good football. They're well coached. They're really well coached. Under 9s or rugby, I'll be honest with you.
I know, Rhys has just joined. He's fucked it up for all of us, haven't you, Rhys?
They were. It is.
To be fair, on that day, you had some of my best players turn up as well.
Yeah. Honestly, it's absolute quality. It's really good. Ryan Seaman's obviously coming in and take a prominent role in that now as well, and he just gets it. I think he gets it. He knows what he wants to achieve. We spoke about developing coaches as well as players as well, and because that's an important part of it. We need to start developing coaches. So it's huge. This is the future of the club, isn't it? Sorry, Alex, I'll let you jump in at any point.
No, I've
gone off on a tangent now. Once I get going, I get so excited about it.
And there was you thinking that you'd be nervous and scared at the beginning of this.
Yeah. So we went to we both went to the Hawthorns last week, didn't we, to watch that, and that was the first time that I'd actually seen the scholarship team play. Obviously, I think most normal fans of the club are not really interested in what happens below. So coming into the board, I really had no idea. I mean, what I knew about the academy and the Malton and the community and all of that, you could write on the back of a postage stamp. I didn't have a clue, so I've had to try and learn it. I went to a couple of the academy under 23 games, the combination Prem games towards the back end of last season, and that's something that I want to do more. That we have a board presence at those games, and we work with the manager of that team to try and improve it, and ultimately to generate more players coming through that pathway.
Did you see Aaron Addy play in that side?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the names of some of the players that that were playing in the game.
Right back.
Right back, yeah, did so, yeah, he's actually a bit of a player.
Adelusi or something.
No, it's Aaron Addy. He was at Rawns and he came back to Rushden, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Good player. Got class.
Yeah, good player.
Oh, I think I think he did play.
Sticks his ass out a lot trying to stop the opponent getting.
I don't remember that. But yeah.
Sticks his hands out and his ass out. Just
But yeah, it's the future of the club, and it's the way that we're having to go at the moment. And I'm actually really proud of the fact that we had a lot of lads that have come through the various programmes in our first team at the end of last season, and to be honest, that hasn't happened really over the last few years. For
I think the other thing to say is, there's an element of it was a necessity. It was a necessity to have these lads in there, but by the end of the season, they were all there on merit, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were all there on merit. All them boys from the scholarship and the academy who've played a part. Yeah, they've done well. They've worn the shirt really, really well. Testament is they'll be involved next season.
Yeah.
So it's important. It's important. That has to be our DNA. That has to be our ethos.
No, nice. What was this? Sorry, what was the score? Obviously, I know they lost the final there, but
it was 1-0.
1-0, yeah.
To be fair, it was really tight up. They just they had a couple of strikers were decent, weren't they?
Their front three were really good, weren't they?
And they were solid at the back. They really limited us. Pharrell was actually on the bench.
Was he?
And he came on with about 30 minutes to go. And there was one or two occasions where he just ran past defenders like they weren't even there. But he didn't see enough of the ball, did he? Really, I would say over the time that he was on the pitch to affect the game enough. And
who was your goalkeeper on the day?
I don't know what his name was, but he made an unbelievable.
Was it Nixon?
No.
So it wasn't Charlie Nixon. No, I don't know. It was an absolute worldy save. He pulled in the first half, did it? Unbelievable. Yeah. No, it's a bright future. There's a lot of boys who go on and do well. Hopefully for Rushden, but I think it's all about just providing opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah.
If them boys come through any of the platforms we can provide, if that's the scholarship, if that's the academy pathway, or the community, whatever gets them into football and kicks them on, and they go to have any level of success, then that's our responsibility, isn't it? As the directors of a community club, that's what's most important.
Would you agree with, obviously, Diamonds coming down this year, going into a new season and a league below? Would you agree that it's a perfect opportunity to give these players a chance now to step up and show them it's a crack with sort of nothing to lose if you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, and I think given what I said earlier about the budget and where it has to be this season, I think it's imperative that we have to use these players really, and you never know if they're going to be good enough until they're given the opportunity to do it, and ultimately some won't be, but others, like some of the lads that we saw at the back end of last season, just run with it, and it probably takes them 6-7 games to get up to speed with the level. I think we probably saw that with Mitch. I would say last season he really got into his stride towards the end.
Yeah, probably the last 5-6 games.
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. Even some of the others had kind of slowish starts, but kind of grew into it. But I think it's the way that we have to go, really.
Yeah. I think as well, them boys that were involved last year that it's early in the season. No one's actually committed yet, are they? But they're the guys that we're hoping are going to be around. They're still part of the scholarship. Like I said, none of them disgraced themselves at step 3. No. So, a season at step 4, to go and actually go out and win some games and not always be, they have to learn to lose, of course they do, they don't do it every week, do you? Do you know what I mean? But actually going out and being competitive and being some of the better players at step 4, it's going to be massive for them.
Yeah.
100%.
No, good. Obviously, Diamonds, it's from top to bottom, the lads are progressing, youth progressing as well. It should be a good, strong year for Diamonds. Without football-wise, looking elsewhere within the club, there's a lot going on this summer. Is it Save Our Summer? Is that the...
Yeah,
that's got going on? Can you tell us a little bit about that? What's that all about?
So I think, Alex touched on it earlier that, fundamentally what kind of went wrong last season was the lack of commercial stuff. So a sponsorship deal was agreed for a main sponsor, and it just never come through. We didn't see the money for it. It left a big hole.
You've got to start paying people when you say you're going to do something, George. You've got to start paying them, mate.
Why are you looking at me? No, fuck you up. Who else?
So, it left a massive deficit. So, I think every club in close season has bills they have to pay and costs attributed to the club, you know. For the fans, it just stops, doesn't it? For the club, it has to go on. The grass still grows, the pitch still needs repairing, you know. The electric still has to be paid. Unfortunately, this year we just, you know, the coffers are dry, you know, we don't have it. So, it's not a case of going bust, you know, but it does seriously hamper our ability to be effective next year if we don't raise that money. So we decided as a board we wanted to go out to first the members or the part owners, bring everyone up to speed, and then the wider fan base, the wider community with we sort of proposed it as like a collaborative effort. So we'll do our bit, we're looking into grants and everything that we can get. Donations, we've had some really great donations, and people have been so generous. And fundraising. So a few things going on, party in the park in Rushden and things like that. We'll make sure we're represented, we've got stalls, things like that. Golf day coming up, 25th of June, that's going to be played. Rushden Golf Club have been really, really helpful with that. And then the centrepiece is the Legends game.
Legends game.
Yeah.
Some, you know, a few legends, and
I don't know which ones are confirmed that we're allowed to talk about, so...
Can you drop any?
And are there any legends? But remember, in the big cobblers tab I've got on my own, are there any Diamonds legends?
Yeah, pretty sharp. One of the cobblers, isn't it?
I've got a different name for him, and it's not nice.
No, look, he's not the only person to score against cobblers, is he?
Oh, well, yeah.
Who is confirmed?
Yeah, be careful. You might get yourself in the shit. Yeah.
Dwayne Darby.
Dwayne Darby. He's my all-time favourite Russian.
I think he's a lot of people's, and it was almost his idea to some degree. So Rob took kind of like just a random call from him on a Saturday morning, didn't you? Just completely unexpected. I'm not even sure how he got your number, to be honest. But he said, if we could help in any way, just to let him know. Whether if you want to do a Legends game or something, he could help us pull it together.
Yeah.
And then there's like a light bulb moment.
And you snowballed.
You mentioned it to me, and obviously a Legends game just involving RDFC is brilliant. But then I thought, AFC R&D has been around for 12 years now. Loads of people have got really fond memories about our UCL days, the early days. Some of the players that played for us then, that they leave us and you just don't hear of them again. It's not like professionals, they go on and play for other teams and you follow their careers. Some of these guys just disappear. And we thought, what if we had them play against each other on that day, because it interests people from RDFC, it interests people from AFC R&D, but it also gets people that perhaps were RDFC fans that have lapsed and haven't followed us across, of which there are some, become interested and aware of AFC R&D, and the thing together I think just works, and it opens up a pool of so many more players as well. It's been so much fun over the course of the last month or so. You get chatting to these people, getting to know some of them who are in regular contact with us. We've had players contact us who were desperate to play in it. It's been amazing.
It's been quite
one of the most fun things everything. I wouldn't say everything about being on the board has been fun, because that is absolutely not true, but it's definitely up there one of the best things that we've done.
Okay, so break me out then. How many of the team you've got that beat Leeds? How many of them are playing? Or when you played Leeds?
Wood was in the team that beat Leeds. Not beat it well.
Yeah.
Morally beat Leeds.
Yeah, I felt it was a loss being a Leeds fan.
Yeah, there's definitely quite a few more that were in that team that are
just looking through who's announced.
When will this go out?
It's probably Saturday.
Okay, so by then you'll know that Carl Heggs is in it.
Oh, Carl Heggs is a legend.
He scored the goal against Leeds.
So he's been announced tomorrow, and he's.
Didn't he go to Tamworth as well?
He did, yeah.
Because their nickname's the Lambs, isn't it?
Yeah.
What dates? I said 27th.
We can edit and splice around that.
You're fine. So Carl Heggs is in there.
So we keep being asked about him.
Has he still got his blonde streaky hair?
We'll find out.
Heggs.
Heggs, I was going to say.
Because didn't he have like a Beckham-y type hair?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
And tattooed arms, if I remember
He
rightly.
was playing with his socks down
Yes,
his ankles.
Yeah.
He barely had his socks rolled up, did he?
Paul Underwood, 20 years on, looks 20 years younger than he did 20 years Honestly, I promise you that.
The stress of being a PE teacher.
So the players we've got, so for Rushden Diamonds so far confirmed, Dwayne Darby, absolute legend. Barry Hunter, who was Rushden Diamonds manager, player manager.
You notice they're picking out loads of people that are like Cobbler's rejects. Because I'm sure Barry Hunter was at the Cobbler's.
Barry Hunter was manager the day that we beat 3-2 in that part.
Cobbler's reject then, yeah.
Barry Hunter's now the chief scout at Liverpool. Yeah.
It is now.
He's chief scout at Liverpool, yeah.
Nice.
So
Should
to
we
be
play
fair,
for Ireland as well, to be fair?
So a bit of a build on like some of these players have been some of them have been really easy, and some days we've rung up and they've been like overwhelmed that we consider them legends, and you know, I think almost unanimously everybody said they have such fond memories.
Andy Burge is on that list, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Barry Hunter, we just couldn't get hold of him. You know, like he's kind of a big deal in football these days. So I actually filled in like a type form on the Liverpool FC website. Come back the next day. Yeah, Barry Hunter would love to speak to you. Here's his number. Here's his email. Get in touch.
Yeah.
Sound.
Yeah, I've got a match-worn Barry Hunter shirt. 100% send it up. I'll sign it. So there's gonna be like a shirt auction going on. We got retro Rushden and Diamonds shirts to sell.
I found a pennant from the time that you got promotion at my nan's house the other day.
We got promoted at your nan's house.
It's amazing the things you find there.
Curtis Sardo, Simeon Jackson, obviously went on to play Premier League football.
Yeah.
Canadian international, him.
Yeah.
He's had the biggest reaction on the socials, hasn't he, so
Yeah.
far? He's had the most likes.
Do you reckon before he was a Canadian international he'd ever been to Canada? What do you reckon?
Potentially.
He wasn't born there, you know.
Let's find out. Let's check his Wikipedia. You can ask him on the day.
I will.
Get one.
That's only if we get free tickets though. Yeah?
It's a charity do.
I'm not a charity case. I have to pay the first time round at NEM Park. I'm not paying again.
Paul Underwood, Andy Burgess, Michael Myson.
Oh, hang on a minute. I don't think our listeners heard what you said there.
Also Stuart Gray, Marcus Bignot, Paul York, John
Another
Farr,
ex-cobbler.
Roger Ashby. They're all non-playing, but they're people who want to be involved on the day.
I reckon Stuart Gay could still do it, you know. I think he's an assistant somewhere, isn't he? Or a coach somewhere.
Is Stuart Gray or Stuart Gray?
I'm sure.
There's a few of them that are still knocking about at clubs. From the AFC Rushden Diamonds, obviously Shanks, Tom Lorraine, legend. Bully,
Matty Gearing.
Brad Harris, Matt Gearing, Ross Dunkley, Alfie Taylor, Alex Deakin, and Ben Farrell all been announced so far. So we've got some
And Claudio today as well.
and Claudio.
Nice.
And so yeah, obviously.
Hey, were you better than him?
I bet I was, yeah.
So that's Claudio and that's what's the other one that you reckon you're better of?
No, definitely.
as well? No, definitely. Yeah, you reckon you're better than him as well? Yeah. Sound.
Yeah, so the Legends Day should be, and it's definitely like the centrepiece of our Save Our Summer. We've got some great ideas to do. I think we've got 64 people to announce over the course of the summer.
When is the Legends
As many as we got on trial.
So 30th of July at Hayden Road, 2 p.m. kickoff, gates from 12. Again, there's so many people that are so excited about this. But obviously our match days rely on volunteers, and this charity game will be no different. There's an army of volunteers that are running club shop and the tea bar and the turnstiles and all that. So I would say to people who are coming, like, get your tickets. They're on Ticket Source. Follow Twitter, Facebook. There's the links there.
We'll share that out as well.
Yeah, please do. We're hoping to sell out. You know, I think we will.
Yeah.
I mean, Kettering got quite a few. I think we'll do better than them. What we're saying is people who are coming, come early though, because what we do want to do is 15-20 minutes before the 2 o'clock kickoff, we want to shut everything down so all the volunteers get a chance to enjoy the game. You know, without.
Are you going to do meet and greets after?
Yeah.
Because I think that'll be well popular with your fans.
All the players
I'm
are
hoping
really
that we'll
well.
get a lot of them in the bar after the game.
You know, similar to a Comic-Con type scenario. So they're like at a table and you get to walk to your favourite legend.
I don't think we'll have any trouble getting them in the bar. I mean, getting them out could be a shock.
Yeah.
And then later on,
Isn't that right, John? You struggle with that, don't you?
Later on, we're hoping to have a quiz night as well, incorporating questions of AFC Rushden Diamonds and Rushden Diamonds as well.
Lots of Doc Martin questions in there, yeah?
Loads of Doc Martin
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, it should be a cracking day. You know, end of July should be, you know, a nice day, nice good weather. So yeah, like anybody who hasn't got a ticket yet, do get a ticket.
Given what happened to the club this season, we are in a really unique situation of having to make a profit this year as a football club, which has only happened once since 2014, and that was the COVID year where we didn't have any players to pay. So we've lost money every year. This year we can't do that. So it's not a case of wanting this Legends Day to be a success. We need it. We need to sell this ground out, and we're doing everything that we can in terms of the people that we get involved to hopefully do that. But then there's a responsibility on us as well around that to make it a kind of an unforgettable day for other reasons. And
have you thought about like a behind the scenes of the day?
Yeah. So we've got some filmmakers on board too. So there'll be kind of a DVD or a digital download of the day. We're incredibly lucky to have Joseph McCormack, who you guys know as well. So he'll be commentating on the day on Radio Diamonds. We'll also have the video footage. So there'll be a. I don't think anybody actually has DVDs anymore, but there'll be DVDs or digital.
Netflix not been involved yet, no?
Amazon Prime.
I might not want that.
No, not yet. No, but we're.
Obviously, gents, though, if you need any help from us guys from any kind of situation, then I'm sure we're more than happy to help whenever we can.
Yeah, nice one. Really appreciate it.
Like I say, we'll be over there anyway, so I mean, if we can bring a camera and we'll get some footage as well.
Or if you need us to volunteer doing anything, we're more than happy to help out as well.
Yeah, 100%. That's great. Yeah, no, thank you. It's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Like, I'm ridiculously excited. Like, but I'm also incredibly anxious because it's such a.
What if they don't turn up?
Well, it could happen.
No, I wasn't even thinking of that.
No, I've thought about that.
Oh, mate.
To be fair, what we are doing before we announce everyone, we're texting them or we're emailing them and saying we're about to announce you.
So we've had one. We've had one was maybe this week. I won't name them, but you know, like, whatever, mate. Yeah, 100% I'm there. And then, we're going to announce you like next week. I can't make it. Mate.
I think he's the only one of me so far.
He's the only one. Yeah, he's the only one.
Put a bit of shame on him. You're the only one.
I'll tell you afterwards. But yeah, if you knew who it was, I'm not going to say. Obviously anxious because you know at the end of the day we still have a responsibility for like the safety of people as well. So there's a huge piece of work that goes on around this and making sure we've got the right stewards and the first aiders, and it's the middle of summer. We've had 40 degrees in July the last couple of years. So that whole piece of making that a safe thing as well. That
now you got a load of old men running around.
Well, I think I actually looked at this.
Yeah, we did.
We assessed whether we needed kind of St John's ambulance and that sort of thing. There made a decision that we did need some sort of representation because we've got some guys that are playing that are in their late 50s. I think the oldest one was about 58. But there's some of them that are way older than you think because they're still like younger in my head. There's. Basically, we need St John's ambulance.
I reckon you need that for the goalkeeper that you've not announced yet. That's the particular person that will need that ambulance because I'm sure he was a naughty boy when he was playing and got a bit of a ban for a bit.
Anyway. I don't know anything about anything that you're saying. It's I hope it's going to be a huge event. And people are going to, hopefully people embrace it, come along, enjoy it, just come and you know what, people who might remember the old club, not necessarily fans, people in the local area, just come down and see what we do. We're really proud of our club. Just come down, enjoy the day, see what we're about, and have some fun.
I won't lie as well, it's been strategically positioned to be about a week before our season starts.
Yeah.
So if we can get 1,500 or however many Hayden Road holes in the ground a week before kick-off, familiar with our club, having a cracking day at Hayden Road, and we've got a league game 7 days later or whatever, surely that's going to put a few on the game. And hopefully get people interested. So.
And Ticket Source, they're all available on Ticket Source.
And that link will be in the socials that we put out for the podcast as well.
£10 adult, £2 kids. Hopefully we make it fun for bring the family.
You're getting for £2, mate.
Hey.
So shady.
It's gonna be great. Look forward to it.
No, good. No, I look forward to it. We'll be there definitely. Obviously with AFC being involved, you two lads not going to pull your boots on and do.
I've got 2 left feet, mate. Lucky that I'm left-footed, so it's alright.
It's not advisable. I can still manage a bit of 5-a-side, but 11-a-side is long behind me.
Nah, definitely not.
Nobody will want to see that anyway. Nobody's paying for that.
Nah. I'm just going to be fanboying all day long.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
You can't follow him around the pitch.
Yes, I can.
No.
Chairman, I'll do exactly as I should.
It's my club.
Do you know what? Honestly, I don't think I've ever pulled rank as chairman, but on that day I might walk out.
Mate, I know many clubs where chairmen have, believe me.
Yeah.
The speech, it's my money, is generally the one, so it's nice that you're a fan-owned club, so you don't have that.
No, this is the synergy between myself and Rushden Diamonds is that we're both skin. So.
You're on the right podcast. That's we'd have much better guests.
It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait.
No, good. Obviously, is there much else going on there? I see it's Project Reset. Is that just about building the club back up, basically, is it?
It's kind of a mindset thing, isn't it? Really, kind of given what we said earlier about what we inherited, and it was a reset, literally from top to bottom, with the playing staff on the board, absolutely everything. It was a reset, and everything that we're kind of doing at the moment is kind of that reset mentality in the back of our mind, and try and change perceptions that had perhaps become quite negative only 6 or 7 months ago. But yeah, it's kind of a mindset really, and just a little phrase that encapsulates that.
Yeah. I think it's just about going back to, I think we spoke about at the beginning, like, we're a fan-owned club. That's like a really privileged position. It comes with like a whole wheelbarrow of issues alongside it, right? But actually, fundamentally, we're owned by our fans.
You're all custodians rather than just one person.
100%. I think I'm probably on record saying it a few times. We're all the chairman. Like, we're all the chairman, every single one of us. So it's them kind of little things about, we vote, we put it out to the membership, and we voted through like a rebrand on the membership. So actually we want to go back to, branding that as a part ownership. And what does that mean? So one thing that we saw was the memberships have dwindled year on year, okay? When the shit hit the fan and we called them EGMs, we had a huge flurry of people renewing their memberships because they wanted to come to that meeting and they wanted to ask their questions, they wanted to know what was going on with the club. What that said to me was, that's what people really care about. Look, it's really nice to vote on what kit. New kit's out, by the way, 3rd kit, banging, really nice.
Is it the one that Joe liked?
It's a proper nice kit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a really nice kit. I'm definitely gonna get one. But
surely as the chairman you get one for free, didn't you?
I did ask to bring one, but didn't find available.
Not available yet. Yeah, no. So I think probably
sold
next
out
week,
already.
No, I think next week the first people who bought them will be getting them. So it's on like a 28-day.
Are you gonna have like a club photo shoot with some of the players, or like the management with the new kit?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we need to get back to. Those things that we missed out on.
There was an initial idea about getting some fans to come and model it, really, just to get involve people and do something that they enjoy.
But yeah,
not the people that voted against that colour though.
But while it's nice to be able to do that, there's more important things. So we voted on a rebrand about going back to part ownership, and it was a pretty overwhelming majority, wasn't it? Went with that and said we want to go back to part ownership. So now it's about having a meaningful say. So like the kit's really nice, being able to vote on what kit we choose, and that's like a real nice thing, but don't matter. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Not in the grand scheme of things, but voting on the admission prices, that's really important. It's really important that the part owners are able to do that. And as we go forward, it's more about just giving a bigger platform to people to ensure that their voice can get heard at the board table.
Just on that, obviously the admission prices, I see they voted to keep them the same, didn't they? And there was an option there to make them cheaper. But what does that say about your fan base, like supporting the club? I mean, the fact that they
must be working night shift just like you. Got a couple of quid.
I think I'd like to think it says that we've been open enough with people and transparent enough that they know exactly where we're at, and they know that there are good times coming, but we're not there yet, and we can't afford to be complacent. It would be quite short. For me personally, I think and I don't mean anything against anybody who voted for
a reduction. You know, I think it'd be quite short-sighted to do that. Yes, you might save yourself 30 quid over the course of the season, but the knock-on effect of that, you know, is a bigger thing. So yeah, I'd like to think it means that we've communicated well enough to people where we are and the steps we need to take to ensure that we can move on positively. Either that or they just got loads of money.
I think it's the way of the world at the moment as well, with that people are obviously aware that everything is going up, so everything from electricity and even the rent that we pay to be where we are, these things are going up. But that £1 sounds insignificant, but if you add that up, the number of people that come through the gate over the course of 26 games or whatever, it's thousands of pounds. So I was ecstatic when that got voted through, to be honest. Like Rob said, it was evident then that we'd really got across kind of where the club was, and the fact that it was unanimously backed was brilliant.
Yeah. I think it's really nice. Well, you know, we had 3 successive votes on it, didn't we? So we did the admission prices, and then we did the third kit. Pardon me, and then we did the membership rebrand. And so for a 21-day period, there was always a vote running on that the part owners could come in and have their say on. And yeah, I just think that's important. I think that's really important. And then making sure that we communicate that back out to people as well.
I agree. No, it sounds obviously Diamonds on the up.
They say we lost our money, we're not famous anymore.
No, it sounds, I'll say you're on the up there. Good things come in, obviously big events going on this summer. Hopefully we can get that stadium sold out, so we'll share the link as well. Obviously congratulations on, you know, bringing this club back to life. Thanks for coming on. Obviously we'll share everything we can. Anything more from you lads? No.
The one thing that we do need to touch on is Newport Pagnell.
Yes, yeah.
In the FA Vars or FA Trophy final.
FA Vars, yeah. 2 years on the bounce, so massive achievement. Obviously, result this time didn't go for them.
And unfortunately, on that one, I think the gaffer and the assistant have left as well.
They have, yeah. So, no, but I'll say they leave with their heads held high, don't they? Walking out 2 FA Vars finals on the bounce.
Certainly a dream to coach at Wembley for the majority of coaches, I would imagine.
Yeah, and 2 years on the spin as well, even better. So, no, congratulations to them, and I'm sure they'll go on to big things anyway, no matter where they go. So, anything, Rhys? No? Anything else for you lads?
No, just thanks for having us, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of we've had lots of kind of question and answer sessions, but they're normally very quite formal.
I was going to say for questions.
I mean that nicely in the sense that to be able to just come and talk kind of candidly as we have done, possibly said things that we wouldn't have said necessarily in a formal setting, but it's been good to
there was one more thing. How did you get so good at making a logo?
It got a bit of a running joke, didn't it? So we created a Save Our Summer logo, and like, yeah, I don't really know. I kept making reference to it.
I don't want to play it down, but it's our logo, the club logo. We've Save Our Summer around it with some sky on the background.
Yeah, I mean, like the wording does, like, and it comes out of the sun a little bit.
The sun just catches it perfect.
Yeah.
Canva must have took a beating that day.
Yeah, what's Canva?
It was paint, wasn't it?
And a free trial, didn't I? Yeah, but you know what? All jokes like, it's a pretty shit logo. But do you know what? Like that little kind
Fan
of
voted though.
No, it weren't.
Message across.
They didn't put that one out.
Yeah, it's a message across.
Yeah, but that's it. Do you know what I mean? And actually, we joke about it, we laugh about it, but I don't know if it's a point of reference to that logo. People see it and go, okay, that's gonna contribute to that fund. Then
isn't any interaction a good thing? Even if you're taking a piss out of something or anything, it's still an interaction on the logo itself, isn't it?
Definitely. So yeah, that was Matt Taylor, wasn't it? So yeah. Do you know what? We should shout out Matt Taylor as well, because behind the scenes, like, he's done masses of work on the Legends game, and me and Alex tend to broadcast it and talk about it and publicise it, but Matt has been, I swear, he's the most well-connected man in Northamptonshire.
It's unbelievable.
Honestly, like, yeah, I don't know. Matt, I need a number for Nelson Mandela's cousin. He's not doing it. I went to school with someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, he knows everybody. and he is an absolute top bloke as well.
Yeah.
And beyond that as well, we should shout out actually everybody else on the board. I think one thing we've done really well is it's a group effort, and it's we're all equal. Everything's done really democratically. We like to put everything to the board table, and I think we're there to represent the community. I think the board table represents the community. To all the people who have come on this journey with us since November, quality.
I reckon if we don't shout out another Rushden fan, he's going to get the right arsehole on. Mark Rust, the fellow that runs the academy. Is it Mark Rust?
Ross.
Do you not know him as Rusty? I can describe him for you if you want. He's about the same height as Jordan, quite skinny with a big ginger plume of hair.
Oh, Mark Ross.
Oh no, you're that way, yeah.
Yeah, now Ross.
But he would murder me if he didn't get a shout out on a Rushden and Diamonds podcast.
Oh mate, Rusty's an absolute top bloke. He's a good guy. And we spoke earlier about all the different elements to Usher and Diamonds. Well, Mark Rust is really prevalent in both the academy and the community sections. Community Day held at Hayden Road the other day, and he was at the forefront of all of that. He's a top bloke. Yeah.
So I'm keeping my job for another season.
That was it. He said, "Give me a shout out or you lose the job."
Mate, I've shouted out the 2 diehard Rushden fans I know, so they'll be happy.
Quality. Yeah, cheers, that's been good.
Appreciate it,
thanks
thank
for
you.
the pizza as well, lads.
Unexpected. You could have told us.
That's the first guest to bring us pizza, so if you're coming on in a few weeks.
Will, pizza, pal, pizza.
Did Mitch Austin not bring pizza or not?
He didn't, no.
No, he just kicked us out in this garb instead. It's always a good start.
Fair point.
No. I'll have another pizza. No, I appreciate it, lads. Thanks for coming on. And good luck for next season.
Cheers, guys.